Hello everyone and welcome. In this one we'll be building this simple profile card in just a few minutes. So no more wasting time, let's get started. Alright, so here in our HTML we have our basic setup, except that because we are going to be using icons, this time we have a font of some script imported. This will let us use the font of some icons. If you go to the website register, you will get your own code. So to get this started, we are first going to create a div with the class container, and inside this div there is going to be another header div, the class card head. There are going to be some other divs as well. One is going to be the class socials, one is going to be for the buttons called interact, and one is going to be reactions. The last three will be wrapped in a div called card body. And on top of the card body we also want some text, so let's create another div with card text. Now in the card head there is also going to be just a div with the class card head. This is going to contain our profile picture. That's all for the head. The card text is going to be filled up with some text, an h1 and the paragraph element, for example. In our socials we are going to have 4 images. These are going to be the X and Meta, Facebook, whatever, the images of the social media platforms. I'll quickly insert the images that we have. I have some images downloaded here, so you can grab yourself those from the internet. In the interact element, div, we are going to have 2 buttons. One of them is going to be the subscribe button, the other is going to be the message button. And lastly, inside the reactions div, we are going to have 3 other divs. Each of them is going to have a different class. The first one is going to be of class likes. The second will be comments, and the third will be share. Now inside each of these we are going to put some paragraph elements, and I'll just quickly fill these up. And now to use font of some, I just copy these icons. You can find these if you go up to font of some and then click on an icon. You can see where the HTML embed code is. Each div element is going to have an icon above its paragraph element. And this is it. With all the icons added and everything in place, we can jump onto our CSS. Now in our CSS, we've imported a font, done some basic settings like the background color, and aligned everything to the center. This is for the demonstration purposes. And now we can start working on the container first. Simply give it some background color, some height. 70% will do, a width of 25%. Let's round it with the border radius attribute, and also give it a border. Choose a color of your liking. It's going to be 3 pixels wide and solid. As for the card head, we are going to use, as for the background, a linear gradient. The width of it will be 100%, with the height being 35%. We only want to round the top left and the top right, so border, top left radius. We round it by 27 pixels, and we'll do the same for the right. So here just change it to right. Its position will be relative. We want to use flexbox on it, so we are going to say display flex. We'll make everything to the center, vertically to the end. Let's also give it a border bottom so that there is a line there. 3 pixels solid. Moving on, coming to style our card body. 65% because the card head takes up 35% of the space. Width also again 100%. We'll also be setting again a border bottom left, the border bottom, so pay attention here. Left and right. This will be 30 pixels on each. Give it some padding on the top, 5%. It's going to use flexbox because the items need to be aligned. The flex direction will be a column this time. Horizontally we align everything to the center. And as for the vertical alignment, we're going to say space evenly. Moving on, the card text class, we'll simply say the text align center. That's all for this one. Let's also format the h1 and p elements inside it. All we are doing here is setting some font size, 1.15 RAM units. Now as for the profile picture, which is going to be our logo, some width and height settings. We almost fully round it, so 50% border radius. The aspect ratio is going to be 1, so it's going to be like a square. The background color is going to be gray. The transform scale is going to be 2.2. Also, let's give this a border. You can choose a color of your liking. 2 pixel and solid. And now set the background image. We are going to use the URL property images/profile picture. The background size will be 100% by 100%. This also aligns it to the center. And we disable user select, so we're going to say user select none. Now finally, we are going to see something because we are going to format or style our images. So inside the social as the images, we are going to have a width of 2.5 viewport width units. There we go. The aspect ratio again is going to be 1. The cursor is going to be a pointer whenever they hover over it. A transition of 0.2 seconds ease in out, and the border radius of 10 pixels. Oh yes, and here the reason we are not seeing the profile image is because here it's not card head, it's profile picture. There you go. Now let's give this image a hover effect. Delete all of this and say hover. Simply we are going to play with the transform scale 0.90. Now let's format the social section. The width is going to take up is going to be 80%, so there is a bit of spacing left. It's going to use display flex, so flexbox justify content to the center. Sorry, not to the center, it's going to be spaced evenly. And yet again, user select none. We are about halfway through, so the reactions div is coming up. Display flex. Everything to the center, also with the line items. And the width of 100%. Now as for the divs inside the reaction section, we use flex, align items to the center. Give them a gap of 10 pixels between the divs. Everything to the center horizontally as well. The width will be 35% because we have 3 of them, and 35%, 33% is going to be fine. User select will be none. The height will take up 25%. And the font size is going to be 0.9 RAM units. As for the share button, we are going to say border left, 2 pixel solid gray. And we are going to do the same just to the right side for the likes, div, so to the right. As for the interact section, again 80% width. We are going to say display flex to use flexbox justify content to space these evenly. And the user select is going to be none again, because that's convenient. As for the interact buttons, there is going to be border of 0, because buttons tend to have borders by default. Padding of 10 pixel, width of 40%, border radius 10 pixels yet again to round it a little bit. The text color will be white. The font weight will be bold. Whenever you hover over it, you want it to be a pointer. Your cursor is going to be a transition of 0.2 seconds, ease in out as usual. And choose a background color for this one. Whenever you hover over the interact button, we are going to use the same transition as we did before. So transform scale 0.95. And now we can finally start off with the responsivity. So media, max width 475 pixels. These are going to be simple styling, so the container is only going to take up 80% of the space. We are going to change the H1 font size. The reactions div, we are also going to change the font size to 0.8 RAM units. And as for the interact div, we are going to give it a larger, so width of 100%. And make the images bigger, so 10 viewport width units in the images. One last media query before we are done. So between the above the mobile version, between these thresholds that we've given, we are going to apply these changes. The container's width will change. As for the profile picture, we are going to say transform scale 1.4. The H1 is going to have a different font size. We are going to change the width of the interactive, and we are going to change to 5 viewport width units the socials images. Alright, so there was a little bit of problem with the linear gradient. Come here and check these values because I put dots and I missed some commas, but this should do perfectly. And we are done with our profile card. This is in full view, but if you come and start playing around with it, you can see it's fully responsive up to the lowest mobile width that's given. And there we have it. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like below, maybe even subscribing. Other than that, I hope to see you in the next one.